Hi, thank you so much for booking the reading. I've already pulled out the cards. The cards on the left hand side are for Peter and the cards on the right hand side are for you. So I'll start off with his cards, and he starts off with a really positive card. It's the Temperance card, and this is all about him finding balance, but it's also about the merging of both of you into oneness, because the angel has the two cups and is pouring the liquid, the water, from one cup to the other, back and forth. So I really feel that he is having this spiritual awakening because of your connection. It's really making him align more with his angelic nature, and ultimately your connection is going to help him to balance his emotional, spiritual side, his intuition, with his day-to-day life. So right now he has quite a lot of the wounds, pain from the past, and that past relationship that he's been holding on to for so long and taking it so personally, what happened, taking the rejection and abandonment as a confirmation that he's unworthy, and all things like that, all this stuff where he's really given away his power because he's basing his self-worth upon how other people have treated him and what's happened externally in his life, without realizing that we do attract what we believe. And so that definitely happened for a reason, because he has childhood wounds of rejection and abandonment, and that's what was really being played out again in that past relationship that he's been carrying around all that heavy emotions for decades. Really been dragging him down and feeling depressed and really bad about himself. A lot of self-criticism going on, and so yeah, he has built up a lot of walls around him. But with this Temperance card, I feel like since meeting you in a long-term kind of way, because I don't feel as though this progress is going to be rapid in terms of what we as humans may think is rapid. I feel it's going to be a slow process of healing. I feel that he's going to become more aware of what he needs to release and how he's felt held back because of what's happened in the past, holding on still to the past and that person. I feel overall he's going to be releasing that and having some epiphanies around that, that's really going to help him in the long run to heal and release that and leave that in the past, so he can begin to strengthen himself and love himself again and open his heart as well, because this Temperance card, the cups like the heart. And so as that's opening more within him for you and for himself, he's allowing himself to receive. When we look at the imagery, he's allowing himself to receive the liquid and also give the water. So allowing himself to go with the flow much more and integrate his truth into his day-to-day being. So yeah, I feel it's going to be a slow process, and he's still in a lot of illusions right now. He's not consciously aware of what your connection is and what's happening, and it's because he's put those walls up around his heart for so long that, you know, our intuition comes through our heart, because our heart is a gateway to our soul truth and our soul wisdom. And so he's struggling to see the truth right now, and that's okay, because this is like a natural stage really of a twin flame connection. But he's struggling to know what is truth, because he's learnt to stay in his mind and be logical, because that has felt safer for him. But with you, he can be distant and kind of try and put on the brakes and put walls up and be in denial about his romantic feelings for you, because he's just trying to stay in a place of balance. But in reality, this connection's kind of turning his world upside down. It's turning all the things that he needs to release, they're coming up for him. As his heart is opening, all the wounds are coming up. And so when he's trying to take control of your connection by being the one that's calling the shots, so to speak, that's just his subconscious way of trying to slow this process down to a rate which he can handle it. Because this is all very overwhelming to him, and I don't feel like he consciously knows what's going on at all. But in the future, he will become more aware. But it will take time. And he needs for you to be patient, like you are being. Don't get ahead of yourself, Spirit's saying. Don't go planning, any long-term things at this time, because there's a long way to go. And if you're holding on too tightly, or if you're wanting things to speed up, if you're really wanting to know where you stand because you're basing, your own balance and peace of mind on this connection, which you need to stop doing or not do. But if you are basing your life, like centering it around him in that kind of way, he's energetically going to pick up on that, and that's going to create more fear within him, because he's experienced so much rejection in the past that he feels like you'd only end up disappointed with him like the others were. And he's just not in a place to fully give and receive love right now, because he really needs to allow himself to receive his self-love. So ultimately, that's what is going on in the long run. I feel like on a deep, deep down subconscious level, on an energetic level, this healing process has already begun through meeting you. But it's going to take quite a while for that deep down energy healing to really integrate on all levels, so that he comes to the point where he's more consciously aware of what's going on. That's going to happen in the future. So the second card he has is the World card. So this is a completion of an old cycle, and I feel that is releasing the past. And when I look at the imagery of this card, it's like this lady's like floating in the sky, almost like she's above the world. So this is like him having an epiphany, seeing things from a higher perspective, and being able to release the past because of that. And this World card, it's all about balance as well, because it represents the 4 different elements of the earth in the 4 corners. And she's naked and vulnerable, so that's really saying that he will begin breaking down those walls and barriers that he's put up around himself. So right now he's not in a place where he can reciprocate kind of equally in terms of giving. I'm not sure if you read my article, my blog article a few weeks ago called How to Restore Twin Flame Balance, but I feel that article will be really helpful for you. So that's on my website under blog. It's almost like if you're the one who wants this reunion and this relationship more, if you're feeling like you really need that and you're really, really eager to have that, which is a sign that you're not fully happy in your own life right now, you're not fully happy in the present moment, you're believing that happiness can only happen completely if you were with him in a harmonious relationship. So if you're really like projecting that illusion into this connection, it's going to force him to want it less, Because like I say in that blog post, twin flames, they're 100%. They make up 100% together. So if you're wanting this, if you're like overly wanting this, and like 70 or 80% of you is really wanting this, and only 20% of you is focusing on your own life and creating everything you want for yourself. So you're giving like 80%. That's because you make up 100%. It means he can only give or want this reunion like 20%. And then he's going to, for 80% of the time, he's going to be concentrating on himself and thinking about himself. So I hope that makes sense. It's just energetically, I feel like you're wanting it too much. So that's kind of repelling him to want it less. And that's why it's so important for you to just really focus on your own life and really creating that joy in the present moment. And if you're struggling or you're believing like you can't be as fulfilled on your own kind of thing, if you're not really believing that it's possible, then that is a red flag. That's really showing you that you really need to work on loving yourself and healing those wounds of abandonment and rejection, which may be playing out within this connection with your twin flame, and just really doing things that bring you passion. So everything I've been talking about for the feminine for the past few weeks, about grounding themselves in the present moment and filling in our own like voids, creating our own wholeness by following our passions and doing what brings us excitement in our own life. So living for the now. I know a part of you is wanting to plan ahead because you're feeling like you don't know where you stand right now. But you really, Spirit's saying you need to get comfortable in the unknown and not always try and plan ahead too much, because sometimes that's creating resistance to how things are unfolding. So the next card he has is another positive one, Ace of Pentacles. This is about a new beginning as well. And to me this is like him seeing the light, because it always reminds me of the sun, this Ace of Pentacles card, and all the light shining on him. So this is awakening, epiphanies, a new start, believing in his worth. Because although this card is about manifestation in the physical, like financially, it's also manifestation in all areas. And to me, the pentacles always remind me of the solar plexus chakra. So that self-empowerment, taking back his self-power through loving himself and not giving his power away to the past or someone in his past. He's going to grow tired of that, and it's because when you heal yourself, that's really going to affect him to heal himself. So I feel you're giving away your personal power by overly focusing on him. He's given his personal power away by overly focusing on the past and the hurt there, and an element of you is as well on your past. So it's all about stepping into the present moment and making the most of your day-to-day life and enjoying yourself as much as you can. And then whichever twin flame steps more into the light and does the healing, it really does affect the other and helps them raise their vibration and reach their healing as well. So that's another incentive, Spirit saying, for you to work on your healing within yourself. But at the same time, your healing needs to be genuinely because you want to make yourself happy, not just doing the healing work to try and get your twin flame to come closer to you, because that would mean that you're still believing you have these voids that only he or external situations can fill in, which is an illusion that twin flames need to break through in order for union to occur. So his next card is the Tower card. So again, this is all about massive changes for the better. The Tower represents the walls he has around himself, and it represents the illusions that he's trapped himself in. He's tried to build his life based on the illusions, based on the wounds, based on things which aren't true, and it cannot stay that way. So the Tower is, it happens when we, on a deep down level, we raise our vibration, and therefore we're no longer in alignment with the old vibration that's holding us back. So then things manifest into our life which really shake us up. I feel this is like your connection, but also I just feel like he's going to have these epiphanies, like he's going to try and resist his awakening. So then the universe is going to throw things at him, so to speak, that's going to force him out from behind those walls, and it's going to feel really scary and like such a massive upheaval for him. He's going to feel like he's been thrown out into the darkness, just like in his card. But, you know, after the storm, it's going to be a fresh new start. A new day will dawn. He'll be forced to live his life out in the open, in the truth. And this is also going to really assist him to see things more clearly and realise that he's just been holding himself back all his life. You've really come into his life to help force him to get moving again, because he's been in so much stagnation for far too long, and deep down his soul was ready for this change, and Spirit wants you to really have faith in that. This is happening for that reason. And so even on the surface, when things may seem to you like they're going wrong, or he's resisting, or if there's some bumps in the road, because I feel there will be, Spirit wants you to focus on the bigger picture. You came into his life to create this change for him and for you. You came into each other's lives for that reason. And so change isn't easy. Stepping out of the comfort zone or being thrown into the deep end kind of thing. It's not easy. And Spirit wants you to have faith and try to keep your eye on the bigger picture. Because if there's this tower energy and it can seem scary at times, or like things are going wrong, that's just part of the process. So this tower, again, is about him releasing his imprisonment, the ties he has to the past, cutting those ties, or the ties. Well, I feel as though just some sort of huge epiphany or some huge negative or seemingly negative trigger is going to happen for him, and he's just going to get sick of holding on to the past. Spirit is also saying the more his heart opens for you, the more he's going to grow sick and tired of feeling held back because of his fears. Because he does want to be happy. He does want a new beginning. But right now, he's feeling the energy of this Eight of Swords card. He's feeling trapped. He's not realizing it's his own limiting beliefs, his own thoughts which create his reality. Whatever we think about becomes our reality. If we think, if we have a really optimistic viewpoint in our life in general, then we see happy times, we always see the positives in everything. But equally, if we have a pessimistic outlook, then it's almost like we have blinders on to anything positive. So he's really got himself in a rut for so many years, and it is beyond the time where he breaks free from that, and he really will be. But right now he's just not realizing that it's his own thoughts that are keeping him trapped. He really believes that his worth is dependent upon how other people have acted around him or treated him, or what others have said about him to him. He really isn't realizing that it's totally within his own power to be happy in his life and set himself free. Because this Eight of Swords, the swords are about our own mind and perception. And this card is all about this person thinks they're imprisoned by all these swords, but really they're not. There's plenty of gaps where they could walk away and liberate themselves. And, you know, those ropes aren't very tight, so... But this card is also about his comfort zone. Playing the victim, so subconsciously he doesn't have to take responsibility for his own happiness, for his own life, because he's afraid of failing. He feels like he's failed in that past relationship and in other things in his life, and especially in childhood. And so he has that wound and that fear of failure, and so he's kind of told himself for so long that he has no control over his happiness because shit things happen to him. So that's his way of trying to just kind of stay in the same vibration, because although he's not happy, it seems safer. But he's going to grow tired of that. And this is shown by the Eight of Pentacles as well. This is about him working hard to create his new beginning. And it just said 2222 on the timer as I said that. And 2222 to me represents creativity and working hard to be creative and create these new beginnings. So that really fits in with this message. But also this is like financial stuff, becoming more financially stable. But this is just really showing, this card is about like apprenticeship, learning new things. So I feel this is like the spiritual awakening and him like learning so much. I'm not sure if it will be directly related to In Flames, but he will have some sort of spiritual epiphany, I believe. Spirit is saying deep down he does believe in spiritual stuff, but on the surface he's trying to make out to himself that it's all logical, because then he can kind of have this excuse to be like, well, life doesn't really have any meaning, so I don't have to create meaning for myself. It's another defense mechanism. So whenever he's distanced or in denial, because I feel he is in denial about his feelings for you, I do feel he has these romantic feelings. You may not consciously be aware of them right now because he has repressed his heart so much in order to try and protect himself, but he has this fear of when he's being distant or pushing you away in some shape or form. Really it's because he's trying to avoid going into himself. Anytime his emotions become more intense in a positive way, it scares him. He's afraid of opening his heart and history repeating itself and feeling left in the dust kind of thing again. And so he's really running away from himself. He's running away from facing all that wound, all those wounds that are coming up, because he doesn't he knows he's not going to like what comes up, i.e. his own self-rejection. So I'll move on to your cards. You have the Two of Swords. So this is really saying to me that you're feeling in limbo, just like you said. Feeling as though, what decision should I make? What should I focus on? My own life, where I am right now, or on Peter and Germany? But like I said earlier, don't get ahead of yourself when it comes to planning the future. You really do have to get comfortable with this energy of not knowing, even though that's really frustrating to hear. The way you can step out of feeling like you're in limbo, again, is to concentrate on your own life. And then really, you won't feel like you're in limbo anymore, because you won't feel like you're putting your life on hold. And that doesn't necessarily mean like dating other people or anything like that, but also I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, whatever resonates with you. But right now I don't feel you're in a place to even think about other relationships. But anyway, what I mean is, if you're feeling in limbo right now, it is because you're basing your life too much on him. You're worried to make a decision in case that shuts you off from having a relationship with him, but you're also, it's not the time to make decisions about you and him, because neither of you are ready. It may feel as though it's him that is not ready, but I do feel like you're centering your life and your future too much upon Peter. And that's where the codependency comes in. And once you are just genuinely really happy in your own life and genuinely okay with not knowing what the future holds, because you don't mind what it holds, you're just focusing so much on the present moment, then you won't be worried about things. You won't be thinking, oh, I don't know what to decide, I don't know what to do. You'll just be living your life. And you may be wondering how you do that, but literally it is just making yourself busy with things that you love doing. And it's not to distract yourself, but it's just to try and get you out of this mindset of believing that true happiness can only come from a relationship with him. That's one of the major illusions that we're all taught to believe in on the earth plane. Society, tells us we should all get married, have children, do this, that and the other in a set way, and that's what the formula is for happiness. And it excludes a lot of other possibilities. So that's one of the old paradigms we're here to break through. I feel like a part of you is feeling stuck and like you're waiting around for him to turn around and kind of validate you in some way by saying that he does feel these romantic feelings for you. But Spirit is saying the longer you're waiting around for that validation, the longer you're not going to receive it. You need to you need to heal that wound of seeking that validation outside of yourself. Heal that within. Try to not need him to let you know, even though that's difficult. And then, the less that you need him to prove to you or tell you how much he loves you in the same way you love him, the more you free up the energy and make it more flowing, so that he will be able to step in and express that to you. Spirit is saying you're seeking this validation outside of yourself, and that's why it's not happening outside of yourself, because your soul is waiting for you to create that wholeness within. And then he'll be able to express how he feels to you, because you'll be loving yourself, so he'll be loving himself more as well. And when you're in that space of wholeness, you won't be afraid to express your love. You won't be thinking, oh, it's going to push him away, because you will know that you're expressing the love unconditionally. You're not just expressing it to try and get him to come closer, and you'll just be more whole within yourself, so you won't have those fears of expressing your truth. Because when we fear expressing our truth, like we're really nervous or really afraid it's going to push them away, it's like our fear manifests, and that's what happens. But when you're just totally happy within yourself, there's not gonna be like any pressure behind what you're communicating. There's not gonna be any tense energies repelling him. There's gonna be no fear. It's gonna be unconditional love, where you're just expressing it for the sake of expressing it, not to deep down expressing it hoping that he's going to reciprocate. So you have the Queen of Wands in reverse. So this is all about you not being stable within yourself, within the feminine energy, Spirit's saying. A lot of the feminine as a collective, their wounds are to do with these limiting beliefs about not receiving love, not receiving what you need for your survival, and therefore trying to look for that externally, feeling disempowered, not giving that wholeness to ourselves. So this Queen of Wands in reverse, it's like, again, about giving away your personal power, thinking stability can only, and like completion in your life can only be achieved by external things manifesting. And there's a black cat in this card, which is representing intuition. So it's also saying you have fears that your dreams and your goals and your desires won't manifest because you're a little bit too much in your mind, or looking too much to the physical, what's going on in the physical. And there's this need to keep getting in touch and grounding yourself in your intuition, so then you know the truth, you can trust more. Because you've experienced heartbreak in your past as well, like I said earlier, to do with abandonment and rejection. And there is a part of you that is afraid to fully wear your heart on your sleeve, so to speak. I mean, you've expressed yourself more than he has, but still there's an element of you that's wanting some kind of proof before you feel like you can be fully authentic. But at the same time, this isn't about bombarding your twin flame with all these truths and how you feel. It's about being balanced within yourself, so that you aren't, twin flames can kind of, they feel as though they're expressing their love, but underlying there's like those fears and the wounds are being expressed, and then it puts pressure on the other twin flame. The other twin feels as though the feminine's like looking to them to fill in their voids, which the masculine can't do for them. So yeah, these cards are all about focusing on yourself, and once you create that wholeness and love within yourself, then you'll naturally, intuitively know what to express to your twin flame. And if you're coming from a place of truly unconditional expression, or whether you're trying to express yourself with like a hidden motive, Often, this happens subconsciously in the beginning, so no one's really to blame. It's nothing like that. It's just basically the more you focus on your heart, the more you'll be in the light, the more you'll see things clearly, the more you will be in the flow of receiving the love which is flowing through your heart. Like I said, the heart is a gateway to our higher self, our soul truth, and that's where all this love for ourselves comes from. So once you're really tapped into that overflowing love from the universe, and you know it's constant, it never dries up, then you really will be in this unconditional loving place. And then that's really going to help you release any kind of holding on too tightly. It's going to help you surrender. And even if this isn't making sense in a logical way for you right now, Spirit's saying in the next few months something's going to click into place, and it's everything that I'm saying is really going to make sense. It might make sense to you logically, but perhaps my message isn't resonating on all levels just yet. But Spirit is saying in a few months' time, you're going to look back at this reading and something's just going to really fall into place, and you're going to have this aha moment about it. And it's will be a sign that you really resonate in with what I'm saying on all levels, and you will have made this positive shift within yourself. So currently you have the Hermit in reverse. This is saying you're feeling isolated and lonely. But this Hermit is really about you needing to go into yourself, focus on yourself. This is why this physical separation, so to speak, is happening right now. Separation to me, it's an illusion. Really, it's a stage of preparation for you to align with your own light, focus on your own path. With this Hermit in reverse, he's holding the lantern, which is looking into your light, your truth, following your own path. But you're struggling to do that. You're wanting to see the path ahead first before you can feel like balanced and knowing where you stand, kind of living too much for the future sort of thing. So it's also saying that there's some illusions going on that you need to look inwards to illuminate. Spirit is saying this path is unfolding according to divine timing, and a part of you does already know that, but you really need to trust in that on all levels. And the universe, it's almost like you're trying to control things. When you feel as though things are going wrong or you're distrusting, that's resistance, which is trying to control things by thinking they should be unfolding this way or that way according to what you expect or what you want. But Spirit is saying, like, there's so many different facets that need to merge into oneness at the right time, in the right way, that it's impossible for any human to know how to do that. So that's why we need to surrender, because the universe really does pull everything together. It puts the puzzle pieces together in the perfect timing, in the perfect way. There's no way that we as humans could know how to do that. We cannot control that. So when we try to, subconsciously we're resisting, we're slowing down this process that the universe is trying to perform for us. And it does take a lot of faith and courage to really surrender in that way. And when I talk about surrender, Spirit's saying you might not fully know what I mean by that. I don't mean, cutting him off, or I don't mean... What I do mean is just trying your hardest to just go with the flow and Really listen to your feelings, what feels right for you. If you're feeling like you're stagnating, then that's your responsibility. That's because of your decisions. You may think you're feeling stagnant because he's not making a decision, but anything we're feeling, in truth, we are responsible for within ourselves. You have the Star card. So this really reminds me of the Temperance card, which he had. This is about balance as well. And she's naked and vulnerable. So that's really being honest with yourself. Because I do feel that you're believing he has a lot of wounds. And partly you are aware that you have wounds too. But it's like you're focusing a bit too much on him, when you need to be focusing more on yourself, and then you'll become much more aware of what your wounds and blocks are. So the Star is also about, wish upon a star, your dreams coming true. And there's the seven stars here, which is like the chakras. So I feel you're really going to be healing your energies on all levels. And this card is, she's got one foot in the water, one on the land. So again, this is balancing your spiritual soul truth and following your intuition, and then taking action in your day-to-day life. This isn't about, I feel like you're getting too caught up in the 5D and the future and your feelings, where you need to balance that with your day-to-day life. Ground yourself. Take action in your own life. So you aren't just looking in one direction. You're sort of keeping your eye on both directions. Because I feel like you're looking too much towards him, and it's not giving you enough time and space to really focus on your own life as well. So it's really about that balance. And it's individual to everyone, and the more you just try and keep that balance, the easier it will become for you to know if you are balancing yourself and how to do that. So you have the Ten of Wands. This is really saying you've been carrying around a really heavy burden, but Ten's completion, it's like it's about time that you drop some of that heaviness. And again, I feel it's like focusing too much on the future, or trying to plan your life around something that hasn't happened yet. Getting ahead of yourself. Perhaps you're not fully being authentic because you're carrying all these wounds, or you're just kind of putting up with something which in truth you're not too happy about. And this isn't about creating ultimatums or anything like that. It's about you taking responsibility for yourself. So if you're not happy about something in your life, don't blame the other person. Create some healthy boundaries where you're just honouring your truth. Not projecting it onto your twin flame or anyone else. Just taking total responsibility. And, again, everything I'm saying here, Spirit's saying it will make more sense in a few months' time. If it's not fully, resonating right now on all levels. You have the Two of Wands. So this is like planning for the future. But again, to me, this is saying don't look so heavily towards him about when it comes to planning your future. It's about needing to be in the present moment, but also I feel as though you're putting off some goals or putting off making some plans for yourself because you're waiting around for him to commit to you. But it's really saying don't be afraid to make plans in your own life. Because plans can always be changed as long as we continue to live in the present moment. There's this fear of you making a decision and planning stuff without him in case that cuts things off or you're twin flame. But, whatever decision we make, we can then make another decision if that feels right in the future. So the card in the middle between both of you is the Death card. This is really positive. This is endings and new beginnings, endings of the old and then the sunrise, the rebirth, the spiritual awakening. So you both have illusions and wounds and fears that you are releasing overall, and it's making way for you to be much lighter in all sense of the words, feeling like a huge weight off your shoulder, feeling lighter in that way, feeling lighter in terms of being more in the light, raising your vibration, seeing the light, seeing the truth. And it can seem scary. Sometimes we can resist this death because it means surrender. Death is also surrender and allowing these things to unfold, this new beginning to unfold in the way it needs to. And often with a death card, it can mean we have to go through a time of pain, time of the fears coming up, the wounds coming up, going in and to the shadow side. Because that hermit you have in reverse is almost like you're afraid to look in into your shadow side as well. Perhaps not as afraid as he is, but still there's some elements within you where you're afraid to step into your shadow side. So really allow yourself to do that. So I also pulled out some oracle cards. I'll start off with his ones. He has intimacy. So this is really saying to me that he does want this intimacy. He's just afraid of it, and he's so afraid with those walls up that right now he doesn't really know exactly what he wants. But that doesn't mean he doesn't want it deep down. It's just right now it's kind of locked in the subconscious, but it's going to be coming out more into the open, is what Spirit's saying. So I'm going to read what this card says. True intimacy occurs when you reveal the tender, innocent, and idealistic side of yourself. Be open to its loving influence in your life. True intimacy is a powerful and beautiful energy that will transform your relationships. Most of us have experienced physical intimacy during sex, yet we all know that sex, no matter how good, does not sustain a full relationship. Emotional and spiritual intimacies are the key to a deeper interpersonal connection. In recent years, intimacy between friends and partners has been replaced by the sharing of emotional and spiritual wounds, but the angels and guides say that your potential or existing partner is not meant to be your healer or therapist. In fact, a tendency to bring your past hurts and disappointments into conversations with your beloved can actually keep them alive or unconsciously make your partner feel responsible for fixing you and your problems. So this is really saying that you're not responsible for fixing his problems. Those matters are best dealt with by an objective and caring professional. The kind of intimacy your heart truly desires shows up when you and your partner reveal the innocent, tender, idealistic, and creative sides of yourself to one another. These parts of your personality are often playful, cheeky, irreverent, childlike, and joyful. They are not concerned about what the neighbours think. Of course, intimacy can include sharing your secret fears with your partner too, but do so in a way that makes it clear that you are simply revealing an intimate truth about yourself rather than burdening your beloved with your concerns. Intimacy also includes physical closeness during sex, feeding one another, washing or styling your partner's hair, placing a blanket over your partner when they fall asleep, or having a bath together are just a few examples. Some of the most profound, intimate moments happen when there is no conversation at all and your beautiful connection is enhanced by a glorious sunset or graceful bird on the wing. You have drawn this card today because your soul longs for you to understand how real intimacy arises and to make yourself available to its loving influence from now on. So his soul is wanting this intimacy. And this is what I said earlier. This is why you've come into each other's lives. So long he's been avoiding intimacy because he's afraid to get intimate with himself, i.e., he's afraid to get close to his emotional side within himself. But his soul is wanting that, and deep down he's wanting this. And this is what I mean when I say in the future he's going to become more consciously aware of what he wants, and that he needs to liberate himself, and that he wants to be closer to you. So he has dilettante in reverse. So this card is all about creativity. Creativity is being blocked right now, and creativity again comes from the heart, our inspiration, through our intuition, and his is being blocked because of those walls he's put up around himself. And so it's like he cannot create anything new when he's that blocked. And it's because he feels like the victim. That's his final card. But this victim card, it's in the upright position. So this is the light attribute, and it says prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. So again, this is like slowly but surely he's going to be working through this wound of feeling like a victim and liberating himself and taking back his personal power so he can just go with the flow so much more easily. He's got so many blocks, like emotionally, and that's why it's manifesting as him creating like these physical roadblocks, because he just doesn't know how to go with the flow and trust. It seems scary for him to go with the flow because then something bad could happen and he feels like he'll be a victim again and he won't be able to handle it. But that's everything that he's working on healing. It's going to be slow, a fairly slow process, but this healing is well underway. I'm really feeling that. So your card is inner peace, and it says you are enough, and she's writing in the journal saying I am enough. And this card has come up a lot in the weekly readings on YouTube, and to me it's all about you focusing on all the things that you love about yourself and all the things that you love in your life, and creating more things that you love, because there's so many like different things like floating around our head. So to me this is like inspiration and new things that you could really delve into in your life. So I'm going to read what this inner peace card says. Know that you are unique and valuable. Be yourself and attract the love specially created for you. There are few things more challenging to your self-esteem than living without that special someone in your life, or being in an unhappy relationship. Many people wonder, what's wrong with me? Of course, the truth is that there is nothing wrong, although it can certainly feel that way. Another common unhealthy attitude is that other people or the opposite sex are in the wrong. Neither of these ideas are helpful. Even if the love of your life came sweeping into your world today, he or she would not be able to alter your sense of self completely. Now is the time to take a clear look at yourself through loving, empowering eyes. Sit with your journal and write down everything you have accomplished in your life. Write down what you and other people like about you. Write down everything you are good at and everything you have to offer in a relationship. This simple exercise will help you understand that you are and always have been enough. So I feel like you're both like reflecting this wound of not feeling like you're good enough. You have drawn this card today because the universe is urging you to value your uniqueness and to consider that you are enough. Everyone feels that they could do, be, or achieve more. It's great to have goals or to strive to improve yourself, and being the best you can be is a genuinely powerful way to live. The trick is to live it from a place of excitement, with a willingness to discover what's possible for you, not because you are compensating for feeling less than. realizing that you are enough the way you are takes time, spiritual awareness, and emotional maturity. Make time in your life to cultivate confidence. Really listen to people when they pay you a compliment. Don't deflect it or diminish it. Remind yourself daily that everything in the universe, every snowflake, every tree, every flower, and every person has a place. You're meant to be you, and you are enough the way you are. So that is amazing, Peter, and it's because that wound is supposed to be triggered so you can heal that within yourself and come back to wholeness within, and not subconsciously look externally for someone else to fill in that void. And then that's when reunion can occur. So you have servant in reverse. To me, this is really saying that you are actively choosing to give, but there's a part of you that's resenting it. Like you're trying to serve Peter, or you're trying to perhaps mold yourself to be what you think he wants you to be, or you're just working so hard to try and make this work in some ways, but it's like you're over giving because you're resenting it in some ways, because it's a sign that you need to give that time and attention and love to yourself. And a part of this servant in reverse is you're giving with conditions. Like a part of you is giving because you're wanting to receive that in return, that validation, that healing of that wound by looking externally. So again, focus, because you also have beggar in reverse as well, and this is all about, it says dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. So, the codependency, believing that there's lack in your life and you need things external, or you need his love in order to, in order to bring you wholeness. A beggar is, a place of fear, a fear of lack and loss and feeling as though you don't have enough. And subconsciously and energetically, that's being projected onto Peter, and he's feeling that, and that's kind of freaking him out. And even on a subconscious level, it's repelling him. And again, everything I've been saying, it's a sign of really needing to love yourself and come into your own wholeness, and then you won't have that need to hold on so tightly through fear. Fear's a low vibration, and we need to be in the high vibration of love in order for reunion to truly occur. So I also pulled out a Rumi Oracle card, and it's an amazing one that's come out. It's Enter the Garden of Delight. So, this is talking about a new beginning is happening, and it's really about loving the present moment and really appreciating everything around you and allowing this new beginning to unfold. 28, this is a very balanced number. 2 is about balance and partnerships. 8 is the infinity symbol and balance. Added together is 10. So that's the new beginning. So this card starts off with a poem by Rumi. Are you aware that sweetness is found everywhere in town? Are you aware that winter is gone and spring has come around? Are you aware that sweet basil and the carnation are whispering in the garden and laughing about how simply everything is found? Are you aware the nightingale has come back from its flight, singing out messages of love to spread delight with every sound? Everything in the garden is granted the right from the divine court to appear for our delight. Everything is here to make the earth green and alive as a haven for our life. What remains buried in the soil will always endeavour to reach out. No one truly alive can ever be pawned to a prison or a tomb. Rumi. So here's the channeled message by Alana Fairchild. There is a sweet spot when entering the garden of delights, a moment where the senses have gorged themselves upon beauty and become heavy with their fullness, slowing the mind so that it can perceive the divine beloved dancing behind the veils of nature. But first comes the sensual feasting. Blooming orchids arrest the gaze with their startling and strange beauty. Nectar from the ripest fruits of the garden drips luscious and sweet upon the savouring tongue. Hungry for gossip, the ears shamelessly eavesdrop upon the birds in melodic conversation. They sing of greatest, most passionate love and boundless living joy, their ears open wide to take it all in. The craving for touch is sated by rough textured bark falling from the ancient trees, soft dewy grasses cool in the shade, the crunching leaves making their sounds under the hot sun, and dancing feet, and the caress of that sunlight upon bare shoulders with weight of its own, like a silken wrap placed just so by a caring lover's hand. The breeze, the very breath of the beloved earth mother, is sweet with scent of lavender and jasmine, warmed by the sun father. Oh, drink it in until your arms raise themselves to heaven, your head tilts, eyes rolling back in your head, and your sacred animal body is mindless and in love. The garden of delights, narcotic in effect, lulling the senses from tension into sacred languor, that love may be experienced. Let us rest here in the midst of so much life, where the goodness of life is felt, and the heart is free from any prison of pain or doubt. Come, be in the garden with me now. Let us be free, and feast to our heart's content. You have now been granted entry into a sacred space, a sanctuary for worship. When the soul is well acquainted with love, life becomes a temple of love, a sacred space in which the soul can grow powerful through expansive worship of love. You are being invited by your spiritual brother Rumi to enter into life, to commit to coming alive, even if at times this feels deeply challenging. Sometimes a part of you may rather stay locked in an illusion of security for a time, perhaps expressed through the preference for what is known over what is unknown, what is familiar and comfortable compared to which is unfamiliar or uncomfortable. To tussle with the parts of us that would deny aliveness is a natural part of growth. It can seem so risky, with such potential for heartache, and yet what could be more heart-wrenching than the slow death of a precious human soul suffocated by fear and inertia? That is the greatest risk, of never really and fully being born into this world of wonders. So Rumi is your midwife, there to ensure full spiritual birth. He is standing at the threshold with you now. You are being asked to cross this threshold from the life you have been living into the aliveness that is flickering and glowing at your feet. It is love's wild, hot embers at your sacred feet. They will erupt at any moment into a holy inferno, taking hold of you and igniting you from within, transforming you into living fire. To come alive requires shedding of so much adherence to the fear of death. The great brother whispers wisdom into your heart. You have heard it, felt it already. The fear of death is so much more terrible than death itself. Nothing is dying in you but fear, so the heart can live more freely. Death and life are twin angels, dancing together in communion with the sacred. They are not opposed, they bring the soul aliveness and make the garden of delights possible. They bring the seasons of the soul that foster growth, and take the appearance of dying away, which is actually part of the cycle of life, again and again and again. You have been through much death, dear one. Around you, within you, you have known this dark angel. That is why you are so full of life. Your attempts to stay as you have been, to render something in your life immobile or impervious to change, have failed. Let us celebrate. There is no delight in frozen moments long since past. Why try to feast upon such food? It will not nourish you anywhere nearly as deeply and fully as fresh from the oven morsels of life. Come, let us taste all that is on offer. We'll drink heedily and sate our deepest thirst. Let us enjoy the richness of the meal in gratitude for its preparation, and awe at the skill involved in such masterful creation. Do not let the memory of death starve you of your participation in life. Do you hold on still to that which is past. I will soothe you with a loving touch upon your back, and yet gently I will turn your head to the right and urge you to see the sun rising. Your life is blessed, you see. I want you to know this now. I want you to accept this now. Let those horrors of the past be gone. They are no more than phantoms. The garden is here now, to be touched, tasted, seen, heard, felt, inhaled, and loved. This oracle comes to you with a message. A new day is dawning for you. There is a time when the past will soon, very soon, cease to have any hold over you. Celebration is imminent. You are invited into the garden, into the golden light of divine plenty. Put your worries behind you now and step into your divine inheritance, where all is sorted according to kindness and grace. So that sums everything I've set up, really, and it really shows what I'm picking up on as well, that he has these fears, but ultimately he's at this threshold of really, well, soon he's going to be releasing those fears. And like I've said several times, it will be a slow process, but this card is really just a confirmation that this change is occurring. So I really hope my reading has been helpful. Thank you so much for booking a reading with me. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for your patience as well. So take care. Bye. I've just realised I missed the card at the top, which is between both of you as well, and it's chivalry. And this card is about the divine masculine, and it's all about when the divine feminine steps into her wholeness and her authentic self, and you follow your heart, then this chivalrous romantic male is drawn to you. So this is really saying that when you do the healing work, then he will be drawn towards you in that romantic way which you are wanting. So that's a deeper confirmation of that as well. So thank you very much. Take care. Bye.